Chapter 22. Static on all frequencies. The bone marrow drifted, not in space, not through a system, through something else. The space between universes, the gaps between save states. A patch queue waiting for deployment, a world paused mid-update. Inside, the ship was quiet. The crew wasn't resting, but they were still. Kate sat in her quarters, lights low, her cloak draped like an argument over the back of a crash couch. Her eyes were open, but she wasn't seeing the bulkhead, not really. In the dim glow of the interface panel beside her, a local diagnostic flickered quietly. Wormhole residue present. Reality signature unknown. Narrative integrity compromised 17.4%. She ignored it. Instead, she stared at the scrap of notepaper Fuji had found wedged in a console back in Cyberpunk's Night City. It bore 3 words. You are remembered. Not Ianthe's handwriting, not Nick's, not hers. She folded it carefully and put it in her journal. Interior, the bridge, later. Fuji sat at the helm, silent as ever, rechecking trajectory alignments against reference stars that no longer matched anything in known galactic charts. Bublina hovered above, running diagnostic loops that looped forever. Nick, Ortus Nigengard, leaned against the navigation console, staring at a screen that now seemed to be listening to him. Nick, I've patched together more stable signal recognition, but we're basically an unplugged USB in a pocket dimension. I think the multiverse has given up assigning us an IP. Fuji, without looking. How stable? Nick. Sandcastle in a flood stable. Bublina pinged once, then again. The third time it was different. Bublina, unknown signal attempting handshake. Origin, Stanton Fringe, signature, Z-Duda. Nick's head snapped up. Troy? Kate, entering. Put it through. Com relay, unstable transmission. The screen hissed, and then, through the fuzz, Troy Z-Duda Quinn's face appeared. Grainy, static, but it was him. Z-Duda. You idiots hear me? Please tell me this is working. I've burned half my backup drives trying to ping across the logic wall. The screen distorted. Kate, if you're there, listen. There's noise following you. Narrative bleed. You left footprints across every damn system you jumped. Some of it's corrupted, some of it's curious, and some of it's Ianthe. But you already knew that. The signal warbled. Fuji, murmuring, keep him talking. Z-Duder. I'm trying to boost comms through something called a plot anchor beacon. Long story. Bottom line, you can't stay in freefall. You need a narrative lock, something with internal consistency, otherwise the universe starts making choices for you. Find stable genre, even if it's weird, even if it's dumb. Just stay still long enough for me to reach you. The screen shuddered. And for God's sake, Nick, stop coding in 3 different syntax trees. That's how this started. Nick. Oh, come on! The transmission collapsed. Interior ship, minutes later. Kate. He's right. Nick. About my code? Kate, glaring. About the story. We're drifting too far. Worlds are bleeding together. This isn't a glitch anymore. It's entropy. Fuji, checking sensors. Picking up an echo. Faint. Not a wormhole. Not a gate. A genre pocket? Something narrative but stable. Kate. Where? Fuji. Feels like old world tech. Horse-drawn carts. Fog. Possibly a vampire problem. Nick. Groaning. Not fantasy. Please, not fantasy. Do you know what fireballs do to our ship's shielding? Kate, already moving. Set course. Exterior, unknown reality. Night. The Bone Marrow arced towards a thick fog bank hanging over a grey coastline. In the distance, the outline of a crumbling castle. Lantern lights, thunder. A bell tolls once, hollow and slow. Bublina, quietly. Current destination, unregistered timeline. Genre, gothic horror. Recommended mood, tense with lace. The ship entered the fog. Chapter 23 of Lace and Lithium. The landing was gentle, which was suspicious in itself. The Bone Marrow had touched down just outside a crumbling village, hemmed in by cliffs and forests, where the moon always looked 1 hour from madness. The ground was soft with fog. The air smelled of wax, rot, and rosewater. Genre: gothic horror. Objective: integration. Mineral extraction. Do not perish. Interior, local tavern, later. The crew had managed to blend in, sort of. Kate had adapted fastest. She'd emerged from the ship 30 minutes after arrival, transformed by both genre logic and sheer aesthetic power. Gone was the tacticloak. In its place, a flowing midnight gown with structured corsetry, velvet skirts, and far more cleavage than physics could support. Her lips were blood dark, her nails cruel, and her eyes lined in coal and vengeance. She looked terrifyingly beautiful. Nick, wide-eyed. Okay, I don't think my brain is rated for this version of Kate. Kate, deadpan. You may address me as the Lady Nonagesimus of House Bone. Fuji, spluttering on his tea, already in full Witcher regalia. I'm not sure that's perhaps the best term, but she looks like she kills with sonnets. Bublina, hovering in a velvet bonnet, her can now sporting a tiny monocle. My lady's elegance now causes minor blood loss in bystanders. Glorious. Interior, Hunter's Guild, side room. Nick had not adapted well. Due to a narrative misunderstanding, read genre collision, he had been mistaken for a vampire hunter, worse, a famous one. A mural in the local hunter's hall now bore his likeness, sword raised, eyes aflame, codpiece heroic. He tried to tell them he just wanted to mine lithium. Instead, he was handed a stake, a flask of holy water, and sent out with a quest scroll titled, The Lady in Velvet, Slay or Beguiled. Nick, reading, Oh no. Interior, Casa Pala, meanwhile. Kate had claimed residence in a ruined manor, already staffed with shadowy servants of unclear origin. She lounged in an ornate chair with the posture of someone accustomed to centuries of scheming. Fuji enters, trailing mud and the faint scent of werewolf. Kate, report. Fuji, casually. Dispatched one grave hag, taught a local noble to play chess, located a lithium vein beneath the chapel, but it's cursed. Kate, isn't it always? Bublina, floating with a tiny lute, off-key. I wrote a ballad about it. It's called Your Eyes Are Like Forbidden Tombs. Interior, forest, night. Nick stumbled through the woods, stake in one hand, datapad in the other. Nick, muttering, how did this happen? How am I a vampire hunter after accidentally worshipping a soda can deity in Night City? He tripped over a root, flailed into a bat swarm, and landed at the feet of a woman in a crimson gown. It was Kate. Kate, silkily. Come to slay me, hunter. Nick, sputtering. I came to ask if we could just maybe mine the lithium, please? Kate, grinning, fangs glinting. Oh, Nicholas, you wound me. Stick me gently, won't you? Nick, okay, I'll be going now, thanks, bye. He fled into the woods. Bublina followed, playing a lute solo so dramatic it attracted moths. Interior, village chapel, final scene. By week's end, the crew had acquired 1 vial of cursed lithium, farmed by Fuji in between monster hunts, 3 uneasy alliances with local lords, a bounty on Kate's head, she found it flattering, and a half-finished ballad from Bublina that may or may not cause nosebleeds when sung. As they loaded the mineral crates into the bone marrow, the fog thickened. Kate stood at the top of the ramp, her gown now covered in dried rose petals and mild regret. Kate. Genre integrity remains intact. We can leave. Nick, still wearing half of his hunter gear. Good. I need therapy. Fuji. We all do. Let's fly. Bublina. Next destination, reality classified, narrative risk, moderate to apocalyptic. Kate, quietly as the hatch closed. She's still following. They jumped. Chapter 24. The Archive of All Worlds. The fog peeled away slowly as the bone marrow crested the edge of its latest dimensional breach. This time there was no chaos, no fire, no cities, just silence and light. Below them, a vast expanse of marble and starlight, towering spires, colossal arching bridges suspended in vacuum, shelves, miles of them, stacked with tomes, scrolls, crystal memory banks, and data cubes whose formats hadn't been invented yet. There was no sun. The place glowed from the inside. Bublina hovered silently, uncharacteristically reverent. Destination registered, the Archive of All Worlds. Narrative Stability Index, 98.7%. Warning, memory bleed probable. Interior, the bone marrow, bridge. Kate stood by the viewport, arms folded, her mood unreadable. She wore a simpler outfit now, black fabric, armor light, hair pulled back, less vampire, more necromancer. Nick, reading ship's logs. This place wasn't on any jump chart. It's not even a world. It's like a root directory, a meta-node. Fuji, watching the silence. Or a library. Kate. Then let's read. Exterior, the archive, hours later. The crew disembarked cautiously, weapons holstered, heads turning. The atmosphere here was thin, but breathable. Gravity fluctuated in slow pulses, gentle like a heartbeat. They were met by a figure not quite real, a librarian made of shifting parchment and living ink, faceless but not expressionless. You carry an unstable narrative, it intoned. This archive preserves consistency. You risk becoming unshelvable. Kate, we're looking for an exit or answers. Either works. Every story ends in this place, the librarian said. even the ones that never happened. Interior, the hall of lost versions. They wandered, for hours, days. Time here bent around intention. Each chamber held relics from realities they remembered but never visited. A version of Nick where he'd stayed behind in Mass Effect, wearing a Spectre badge. A sketch of Kate as a warlord empress, her throne made of broken relays. A silent Fuji holding a different blade, not a sword, but a quill, a scholar warrior. Boblina rendered as an 8-bit ASCII god, worshipped by primitive AIs. They found a room where Tigerlight and Guilty were catalogued, not as dead, but branching. Their timelines had diverged deliberately. One had become a pirate king, the other a recluse, building something vast. Nick, quietly. They really didn't come back. Kate, just as quiet. No, but they didn't forget. Interior central node later. They finally found what Zidodo had hinted at. A plot anchor beacon. A pedestal at the archive's core, pulsing with raw narrative energy, pure, stabilized story logic. Enough to thread them home. But only one thread could be chosen. Kate, I'll solidify our path. Choose wrong, we lose flexibility. Forever. Fuji, better than bleeding between realities indefinitely. Nick, but we could end up anywhere. Kate, then let's choose wisely. They reached out. The beacon flared. The archive shifted. The final chamber unfurled before them. Walls of words still unwritten. A terminal appeared. On it, one line. Choose your genre. And below it, science fiction, fantasy, horror, comedy, romance, wildcard. Kate's hand hovered. We've always been wildcards. Nick, nervously. That's the one that's least likely to kill us, right? Fuji, absolutely dry. No. Kate pressed the button. Chapter 25. Dead Loop Delivery. The moment the bone marrow burst from the archive's anchor jump, the crew knew something was off. First, the alarm klaxons were replaced by what sounded like a man screaming into a tin can. Then the hull's temperature warnings displayed in Comic Sans. And then the nav panel began playing accordion music, loudly. Kate spun from the helm. Nick, what have you done? Nick, defensive, panicked. It was wildcard. You pressed wildcard. Fuji, calmly observing the flickering screen. We've landed in lethal company. Modded. Boblina. Narrative integrity, 0. Atmospheric pressure, bad. Mood, absolute chaos. Exterior, modded industrial planet, night. The bone marrow touched down on a metal landing pad that creaked like bad foreshadowing. Everything looked like it had been stitched together by a deranged fanbase with too much free time and just enough Unity experience. The crew stepped out into an impossible hybrid of factory, prison yard, and children's ball pit. A massive red sign blinked overhead. Welcome, employee. Time to collect scrap. Don't die. Again. Behind them, the ship's landing gear turned into bananas for 3 seconds before glitching back into metal. Kate, flat. I hate this. I hate the fonts. I hate the stairs. I hate that crate just whispered my name. Nick, checking his PDA, which was now a Tamagotchi. We're in procedurally generated loop. Tasks, hazards, all threats. Mods have replaced every original monster with whatever this is. A creature in a Shrek skin glitched through a wall behind them and screamed. Nick, see? Fuji, sword drawn. The objective is clear. Collect junk. Escape alive. Loop continues. We don't want to loop. Interior, derelict facility later. They found the main control room covered in warning signs and animated GIFs. Scrap counters ticked up and down at random. A tape player blared distorted sea shanties in reverse. And on the monitor feed, movement. 2 figures. Recognizable. Wrong. Kate, whispering. Tigerlight. Guilty. The feed showed them both, clad in industrial hazard suits, endlessly respawning, replaying the same run, gathering, fleeing, dying, restarting. Always aware, never free, trapped in a game loop gone rotten. Fuji. They're stuck, not killed, bound. The system's holding them in cycle. Nick, hands shaking. This whole place is a script loop, modded too far. The rules are broken, but the story won't stop. Bublina, quietly. They are preserved as players. The only way out is to break the game. Interior system core, final minutes. The crew located the control node, a corrupted narrative kernel housed inside what appeared to be a dancing refrigerator labelled Lore Hub. Kate stepped forward, sword drawn, black coat billowing in the simulated air conditioning. Nick, typing furiously. I'm brute forcing the kernel with a recursive exit loop, but if it backfires, Kate, then we die screaming in a slapstick graveyard. Again. Fuji, standing operating procedure. Bublina, injecting custom exit path, rebooting narrative. The world screamed. The monsters glitched mid-screech. The ground folded in on itself. Tigerlight and Guilty froze in place, then turned to look directly at the camera feed. Guilty, voice distorted. You found us. Tigerlight, get out before it pulls you in too. Kate, to Nick. Now! Nick hit execute. Interior, the Bone Marrow, ascending. They were back inside. Lights on, systems booting, real gravity. A nav beacon pinged gently. Kate looked at the screen. Nick blinked. Fuji nodded once. Stanton. They were home. Kate, softly. Plot anchor confirmed. Narrative integrity restored. Bublina, with a sigh of static. And not a single vending machine screamed at us. Outside the viewport, space as it should be. Order, risk, freedom, and maybe, just maybe, a way to go back for those left behind. Next chapter, Ghost of the Loop. With the Bone Marrow back in the Star Citizen universe, the crew grapples with what's changed and what still follows them. Somewhere out there, Tigerlight and Guilty's last signal lingers, and Ayanthe is already rewriting her next entrance.